Weight training is a skill, which means one, you don't have to be good to start, and two, if you practice, you will get better. However, a random practice will be much less effective than a systematic approach where you build strength, skill, and capacity over time. And that is what a well-designed strength program is. So today I'm going to outline how I would approach building a strength program for somebody who asked how to get better at the kettlebell snatch. So number one, we're going to figure out what kind of kettlebell snatch they're interested in. Are they trying to do hard style, sports style? Do they not actually know the difference between the two? Are they not sure what one would be best for them in their life and the equipment they have? That's number one that we have to figure out because that's the basis of the entire program. So for the sake of this one, we're going to say they want to do a sports style snatch. Number two, what is their knowledge level? Are they coming to me having never swung a bell? Or are they coming to me from a hard style background? Have you lifted weights at all? All of this stuff is going to be very important so I know what our starting point is in this program. So let's say for the sake of this video, they've done some CrossFit, so they've swung a bell before, so they kind of have a hip hinge down, but they've never done a pendulum style swing, and they keep bruising their forearms and tearing up their palms every single time they try to snatch a bell. So three, we're going to build out the technique fundamentals. So for this person, we're going to start with the pendulum swing. We need to make sure that they get that scoop pendulum swing. That's very important for kettlebell sport. And then we're going to figure out their insertion timing. It's important that we start with the pendulum swing because their insertion timing is different from the hip hinge. So I want to make sure that we have that pendulum swing first before we move into our insertion timing. And that's going to be really helpful so we're not over gripping the bell, so we can push our hand through and dialing in that timing for the person and that will vary depending on how long their legs are, how much muscle they have, and how much power they're putting behind the bell. And then we're also going to figure out where they're holding on to the bell, because if you're holding on to the bell in the middle, you're going to tear your hands up. So we have to figure out where that grip position is going to be most effective for them so they're not tearing their hands up every single time the bell is rotating in their hands. Additionally, this is related to their gripping. So the insertion and the gripping will come into play, and that is going to make their technique feel a lot better right off the bat. And that brings us to number 4, skill progression. So for kettlebell sport, for this lifter, now they have a solid all-around snatch, and we're going to get a little bit more nitpicky on the detail work. So that means we're going to dial in our pacing so that they can last for a long set. We're going to dial in their breath, their deflection, their regrip timing, all of these little tiny things that we're too detail oriented to focus on at the top when we're still learning and we're still like trying not to hurt ourselves. And while we're doing all of that, we're also focused on our rest, cardio, and our balance. So rest being literally we're not snatching 7 days a week. That would be terrible and that would hurt our hands, and that's not really going to benefit us. And we also need to just have balance in our training and our life. Cardio, if you are trying to do kettlebell sport, you also needed to have some sort of cardio as well. That will really, really benefit your training overall. So what cardio works best for them, figuring that out over the time that we're lifting. Could be walking, could be running, could be jump roping, rowing, swimming. There's so many different ways to do cardio. So figuring out what works best for them and balance. So if we are doing kettlebell sport is right here the entire time, all of the time. So we need to figure out a way to balance out those muscles. So we're going to work in some rotational work. We're going to work on different planes of motion. We're going to do hip hinges because sport is very quad based. We need to work a little bit more on our hip hinge. And we're going to do unilateral work. There's a lot of different ways we can balance out the sport training. And all of this stuff takes time, and it's going to be specific from person to person. So somebody might only take a session to dial in the pendulum swing, and some people might take a few sessions to do that, or like a couple week block or a few week block to get really, really good at it. Same thing with insertion timing and your drop. And then once we move on from there, the skill progression will focus on specific skills to get better at them for specific blocks or specific sessions. And just being patient with yourself, patient with your body, and knowing that there's not actually a rush makes it a lot more fun so you can actually enjoy your training. So I hope this demystified weightlifting just a little bit. I know this is a very specific example, but this can be applied to anything. And this is where having a coach is really, really helpful. So if you're not sure how to do any of this, that's totally fine. There are people whose entire job is to be good at doing this. So I have applications open right now. You can apply through the link in my bio, and I would be thrilled to help you get better at the lifts that you're working on. See you next time.